It says we're live. Let's look
I
over
feel
here
live.
on YouTube and wait for it to go live.
I got me a fancy headset.
Yeah, I see that.
I got
Does
some
it sound
back.
pretty good?
You
Yep.
sound good.
Well, you sound good too.
Well, good.
All right, it is live. Ron says it's live. He says it's Hammock time. What is that?
Bahana. Banana
Banana.
time. That's hard to say.
All right, so we've got two people, one people, me people, you people. So I was telling Craig that you was coming on, and I told him by the time I was done with you, you gonna give up this daggone hammock camping.
You think so?
Yeah, you're just gonna you're gonna have take it to the yard sale tomorrow and put it in there. There's Jen.
See,
Hi, Jen.
I know what you want me to do. You want me to take it to the yard sale so you can go buy it and take all my good
No.
ideas. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
no way, Jose.
I might sell you on this deal yet.
So we got three. That makes a whole group, don't it?
Three's a crowd, they say.
All right. So we were talking at lunch, and you'd said that you'd bought an under hammock thing for your hammock.
Underhang, yeah.
Underhang. Well, it's an under hammock hang.
Mm-hmm.
And I had heard of people, and I know it's not like any kind of crazy something. Is my screen too dark for anybody? I can turn it up, but I'm going low light.
I think you look okay. I mean,
Well, I mean, it's kind of. I didn't turn the room lights on. I've just got this light on.
you're blending into that camo back there.
I know. Really, Ryan wanted me to get a green screen, so that's what I did.
There you go.
I got a green screen. Guess what I put on the green screen?
Camouflage.
Camo.
Is that right?
No, that's a lie.
I believe that's a tarp.
A tarp.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It was, I guess, it's curtain material or something.
Oh.
Anyway, I came across it. Like lots of things in life, you come across things and you keep them.
Yeah, sure.
So back to hammocks.
Yep.
I have had hammocks in the past, and what I consider to be a hammock is not what hammocks are now. So when I was a kid, they made hammocks and they still do, out of rope, a big long stick, and it made it flat. And as the more you laid in it, the bigger the dip got that you laid in, and that's just where you went.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a relaxing hammock. You
Uh-huh.
put it in your yard, and people went out there on summer days and sipped their iced tea and laid in the hammock. But they were a real pain in the butt because they always had a swag in them where you always had to lay.
Right.
Now these it's not a new hammock. The hammocks that everybody has now are like, I don't know, nylon. Is yours nylon?
Yeah, it's like a poly material.
Yeah.
But so
nylon.
actually, yeah, pretty much. I mean, essentially.
There's Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
But it's more like a cocoon, right? I mean, they've tapered it on the ends, so it's when you lay in there in your hammock, does it engulf you? There's, you know what I mean? There's like this
So it
extra
really-
material.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yes. But there's also different kinds of hammocks. Like they have what they consider like a single hammock, and then they have a double hammock. And really, it just means more material, and that means the deeper you can go. The idea is you can get, two people in these double. And Eno even has one, I think, called the Double Deluxe. And that sucker's huge. Like when you get in it, you really do feel like a burrito. You got that much material over top of your head when you're burrowed down in the bottom. So.
But how would you ever? And that's one of the questions I had. How in the heck would you ever get two people in them? because there's no structure. There's nothing to keep you separated from the person beside of you.
Oh, you're going to be on top of them, or like laying together for sure. I mean, there's not any separation. But I feel like that at that point, it's like if you're going to share a hammock with somebody, you probably don't, it ain't like you need a separate room or something.
Well, but I mean, it's very uncomfortable, I would think.
Not really. I mean,
yeah, because you're shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, and this thing is literally throwing you together, right? So you can't just, scoot over and get a little extra room, because the next thing you know, gravity just rolls you into a big doobie.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, and it's not ideal to have two people in it. I mean, at all. And I think even people who buy the double, I have a good friend who he bought the double deluxe from Mylo, which is massive. Like, you spread that thing out, and it's like 4 feet wide. Probably actually more than that, honestly. But he just got it because it's more comfortable for one person. You can burrow down in there, and you know how I was talking earlier about you throw all your blankets and everything down, it just gives you that much more room. So that's really what they're for. It's not actually for, I don't think, to sleep 2 people, at least permanently.
Well, and see, that's what I told Craig. I said he's not going to want one. And if Craig's watching, and he says he can't chat, he hasn't figured that part out. It just doesn't show up on his phone.
Right?
Craig, if you're watching, what I want you to do is if you're watching it on TV, just go up to the TV and smack it on the side one good time. And if that don't work, try it again and see if that helps clear up that situation.
That's right.
And we'll wait on you to do that. So,
also, hey, Craig,
you just couldn't. I just
you tried it, Mylo.
Here's another thing. Wouldn't you just be a sack lunch for some little old bear to come along and just, oh, there you go, I'm just going to drag you off, and I know black bears usually don't do that, but I mean,
it's no different than being in a tent, though.
Yeah, but in a tent, he doesn't know exactly where you're at, because he's looking at this tent going, are they in the middle? Are they on the side? There's a hollow area in there. He just can't make you out. In a hammock, he goes, there's the left cheek, there's the right cheek, his head's up there. Look at that elbow hanging down. I could probably just nip off just that elbow.
I don't know, man. I feel like if a black bear come into a tent, he'd probably find you pretty quick. I don't think it'd probably take too long.
Well, yeah, that's true. But he's not even going to – he's going to have to get in there to see what he wants to eat. And by that time, with the hammock.
So I'm going to go out. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to make this statement right now. I'm not against tent camping at all. In fact, there's times where I think tent camping is better. Like, it really just depends on what I'm doing. Now, if I'm backpacking or going hiking, tent is the way to do it just because it's lighter. And that seems weird, but if you get like one of those small ultralight tents, those things weigh less than a pound now. And the time you would think the hammock would be lighter, but the time you add your rain fly and all your ropes and everything, it actually ends up being heavier. And I've weighed it. I've done the tests on it to see the actual weight difference. So if I'm backpacking, tent all day. But if I'm just going out camping, I always take a hammock because it's just way more comfortable. And it's a lot easier to set up, too. You don't have to, it changed everything.
Well, so when I have seen people hammock camp, and I've watched them because my kids like hammocks. We bought them hammocks. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they camp in them.
Yeah.
But I know they string them up and relax in them, read books in them. Swing in them, I guess, you sit in them sideways, and you can kind of make like a little bucket swing or whatever.
Right.
But when you try to sleep in one, aren't you supposed to sleep kind of catty-cornered, not in line with the ropes, but a little bit off so that it doesn't just, sway in the back?
I think people kind of have preferences on that. Um, when I hang a hammock, I like to get about 12 foot between the trees is the right distance for me because I like to stretch that thing really tight, and I like to get it pretty high up off the ground most of the time. And what that does is whenever I get down in it, it just it I don't kind of like what you was talking about, just turning into a big doobie. I don't feel like that. I actually feel like I'm laying on something, and so that's the way I like to do it. Now I have a friend who he actually likes his trees to be a lot closer together because he likes laying in a big U because he can cock his feet out the side or whatever. I guess it really just depends on how you like to lay.
But you never lay sideways. I mean, because
Oh,
I
I
don't
do.
know, maybe it's a young person thing, but if I lay in a position too long, it's like I'm locked. I'm locked into that position.
You know what?
I can't get out.
We need to do, Mylo. We need to go. We
No.
need to go get some eye bolts, and we're gonna lag them into a 2 pole somewhere. And I'm gonna let you lay in Mylo for a while.
Well, I've laid in my kids, and they don't, they don't spend like tons of money on these things. Maybe they have,
Well,
but I
Mylo
mean,
it's not
we've bought
anything special.
we bought them hammocks. They may have a couple. There for a while you could buy, like I said, there's different materials. The polyester, and then there's one that's a kind of a tight knit, almost like I won't say it's a canvas, but I mean, it's pretty tight, knit. And of course, that's more for relaxation, not necessarily for camping.
Yeah, you don't want to camp in one of those.
But I don't know. I mean, when I laid in them, it's just you can't, like I said, you can't lay on your side. You can't, and you can't. Well, I guess they do read books, but you don't. In a tent, and I know you're not like hammock camp or nothing. So,
Yeah.
but I guess in a tent, I really like to have. You can sit up, or you can lay down. You can. Different things. There's space around you. When you lay in a hammock, it becomes there's no free space.
See, that's the thing, though. I disagree, though, because that's the thing about a hammock that I like so much is because it really just depends. You can hang it so many different ways and use it for different things. There's been times where I've just found a horizontal branch hanging from a tree, and I'll just hang it and I'll use it like a big swing. You can just sit in it, and
Right.
make you a little make-do chair. You can do all kinds of stuff with it, and that's really like the way to, in camp. Most of the time, you can't afford to, pack in a chair, too. So what we usually do is, we'll build a fire in the middle. Everybody hangs their hammocks around, and then, once you get them hung, you just kind of sit sideways in them, and you pull that material up behind your back, and you just got you a good chair, man. You can just hang out, sit by the fire, drink you some beverages, whatever you want to do, and it's also your bed, so it's very multi-purpose, and it don't weigh anything either. Packs down that big, you can throw it in the
Right.
trunk of the car,
Right. Well, I think my son's hammock's been in the back of that Blazer I've been driving in that little old pouch behind the driver's seat for 6 months.
Yeah.
Ever since I went over there and picked it up and brought it over, did some work on it,
Yeah.
and I don't.
I used to keep one in my. I used to have one that I had just to keep in the car because I'd go out to the lake or something, or go fishing, or just whatever I found myself doing. And if there was 2 trees, man, I was throwing my hammock up because I could throw that sucker up in 30 seconds, and I had me a place to hang out. Like you said, sit and read a book or whatever.
Right. Well, I guess the big thing for me would be space, because hammocks was, like I said, nothing that I've ever really done. And if it's raining and you have to spend some time inside, at least you could have a friend over and you could say, hey, come and sit in my tent and chit chat or, read or something. At least you could share some common space. You don't want to invite your buddy over. Hey man, come, hang out in my hammock.
So this is crazy. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but me and my buddies used to do this thing. So I first found out about hammock camping when I was in high school. Eno had just come out, and back then Enos were like $100 a piece, and I couldn't afford one of those. But I found this like Amazon equivalent for like $15, and I used that hammock, man. I had that hammock forever. I mean, honestly, I don't even know where it's at now, but I used it forever. And what we used to do, everybody bought them, all my little squad, and what we would do in those situations that you're talking about, like if we'd catch ourselves out in bad weather, we would do this thing called stacking, where we would literally hang, like 3 hammocks on top of each other, and the guy on the top would be 8 or 10 foot off the ground. And the way that you'd get into them is there's probably videos on YouTube of this. I'm sure we're not the only people who did it. But anyway, you'd get into the bottom one, and you'd like flip yourself upside down in the hammock, and you'd grab onto the next one, and you just keep, shimmying up till you got to the top, and then you only had to have one rain fly, and it kept everyone dry, and you could lay there and talk or whatever. True story.
So how high was the guy on the bottom off the ground, like dragging butt and
No, not even. I mean, we would, he'd probably be like, his butt would probably be like 3-4 foot off the ground, probably about 3 foot off the ground, I'd say, something like that. And you just shimmy your way up to the top, and you can hang out up there. We called it stacking. And also, if you ever need to, just as a side note, talking about that same thing, as far as what you do is you lock your shoulders into the side material of your hammock and your feet, and you kind of just flip upside down. And if you're a guy, you can also relieve yourself out in the woods that way. If you got to take a pee, you don't even have to get out of the hammock, get your feet dirty. You can just flip over and take. Obviously not with people underneath of you, but
yeah, that puts a whole new idea on stacking and rain flies and all that.
Uh-huh.
But I don't. How would you ever do that and not fall out? Gravity must operate differently in a hammock or something.
No, it operates the same. You just got to learn to hang on, man. You lock those arms and legs in, flip over, and do your thing. Flip back over. I'll show you sometime.
No, that's okay.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna. I'll show you the technique.
The technique.
Yeah, I'll just show you the technique. The how.
Yeah. So, going camo in a hammock's about the same thing as going camo in your jeans, huh?
Going camo in your jeans?
Well.
Yeah.
Shoot, not camo. What am I saying? Come back to me later.
Okay. Yeah. We probably want to get away from that anyway. That's okay.
Yeah.
That was just a wild side note.
So, if you were talking about earlier, if you're going to have hammocks, commando.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Commando.
I had a feeling
camo.
that's what you wanted to say, but I didn't want to be the one to say
Why
that.
not?
Well,
You just want to make me look dumb.
This is your world, Mylo. I'm just walking through.
You make me look dumb. Yeah. But you have to find trees. Another thing that I'm looking at, you find trees. If you got 4 or 5 people, and you like to have your trees far apart, he wants to have his trees close together. Wouldn't it be hard to everybody come up with a nice place that they could go camping? So, it's something for everybody.
I was going to be a smart aleck and be like, you ever been in Cherokee National Forest? There's trees everywhere. But you actually are right. There are places that you go where you have a hard time finding the right trees. And in those cases, see, that's why when I backpack, I like to take the tent, because it's lighter for one, and like I said. But also, there's not a guarantee that wherever you stop for the night, there's going to be the right place to hang hammock. So it's just a safe bet to take the tent. But if I'm going camping, up on the mountain, there's going to be somewhere I can find to hang my hammock, So, no, I don't worry about it too much around here. If I was going to Mojave or something, that might be different. But
so, you have the rain fly, and now describe what you bought to keep you warmer. That's what you bought, was this thing.
Yeah, it's an underhang. So, basically what it is it's like, the old school sleeping bags that just like, they had a zipper around them and they fold up in half, sort of what that'd be hot
That,
dog style, I
that's
guess.
what I got. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
got one of
okay.
them.
So one of those. It's essentially that, but at the bottom, it don't have the zipper that goes horizontal. It's just got a zipper that goes end to end, but the ends are open and there's ropes tied onto those ends. And the
Right.
idea is you put it over your hammock, you zip it up inside of that, and then you take the ropes and you tie off to your carabiners, to keep it from sliding down, and you get down in it, and that gives you just this a layer of insulation from the wind, because that's the biggest downfall with hammock camping. Even sometimes in the summer, if you're up on top of a knoll or up on the mountain or something, and a good breeze is blowing in, man, you'll freeze to death because that wind just whips right under your back all night long.
Right.
So
Right.
having something that you can get down in is essential. I used to just use a sleeping bag, and then I actually, after all these years, I've upgraded and actually got the real thing. But it's all the same stuff.
Well, I mean, I guess the sleeping bag, you're in there with it, but
Well, no, because
you
I would
didn't.
use the. I had a sleeping bag that I would use exactly like the underhang. I just jerry rigged it.
Oh, so you didn't put a sleeping bag inside your hammock and then got in to the hammock and laid on the sleeping bag.
Huh. I don't actually really like laying in sleeping bags all that much because I toss a lot when I sleep. I like to move my legs and stuff. And so usually what I do is I'll just bring a real thick army wool blanket with me, and I'll get down in there, pull it up. The sleeping bag was just to use on the outside
Right.
of the hammock. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, even when you were using it, you used it on the outside instead of the inside.
Right.
See, I thought when you were talking about it at work, what you'd do is you'd put your hammock and then you had this old sleeping bag and you would just line the bottom of the hammock with the sleeping bag. Then you'd get on top of the sleeping bag and have like your wool blanket. So the sleeping bag was more of just a separation from,
Yes.
the coming up from underneath wind and all that stuff from underneath.
Yes.
But now I've seen, like I said, when I look at people that had, hammock camped, the rain fly. Do you have to adjust that when you first do it? I mean, is it like 6 inches from your face, or is it like 10 inches? Is it 5 foot wide to really make a 10 over your hammock, or?
All it is it's a ridge line. So it comes with a little piece of paracord, essentially. And the two trees that you tie your hammock to, you just tie that paracord off to it, and then you stretch out your rain fly, and then it's just like a tent. You have tent stakes, and you stretch it tight, and you can adjust the height. In the colder months, I like to kind of pull it down closer to me, just because it keeps that heat circulating in. But in the summer, I'll hang it really high, and sometimes I'll open the front flap up, that way I can look out at the fire or whatever. But yeah, I mean, and that's what another thing about it. It's just so versatile. It's like with a tent, you have a tent. You have level ground, or you're going to be really uncomfortable. That's just the way it is. You got to have a good level spot to lay your tent. You got to dig it out, whatever. With a hammock and a rain fly, you can kind of just adjust it however you need to. I mean, you can, as long as you can find two trees, you can hang that sucker. And yeah, that's what makes it so appealing to me, is because if I just want to go, say, especially if it's like a place that I've never been before, and I know there's going to be trees, like we were talking about earlier, I'll just throw that hammock in there, because I can make camp anywhere. I don't have to have a level spot. I don't have to have the rocks in the way. I don't have to spend an hour digging up rocks that I could be
Right.
using doing something else.
Right.
Or that's just kind of the way.
So do they have hammocks that are, surely they've gone up where they're weight rated?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, heavier duty, or support more weight, or?
I don't remember what the weight rating on my hammock is, but I do know that what they claim, the whole sales gimmick, is that the material that they make those hammocks out of, and there's a bunch of different brands now that do the same thing. They're supposedly made out of the same material that they make military grade parachutes with, and so they have a really strong tensile strength, I guess that would be, if as long as it's pulling on it. But if you get a
Right.
hole in them, that's when everything goes to pieces. If you burn a little hole in it, from an amber on the fire, or poke it with your pocket knife or something, that's whenever it loses its strength because it's all going out that hole. So that's the downside of it. Yeah.
So they're not really fire retardant. So you could have a little spark, a little pop, a crack, and then
it would have
you'd
to be
fall
pretty
out.
drastic. I mean, there's been times where I've had like embers blow up in the hammock and it scared the crap out of me, but nothing happened. And I've got in there and, forgot I had my keys on my belt or something, and I poked it and it scared me again, but nothing ever happened. I've actually never seen a bad fail come from a hammock. The only one time I had a good friend, he had bought these new carabiners, and we went out and hung our hammocks. It was the first day we both had bought carabiners, and man, his beaner bent on him some way. I guess it was just a malfunction. I don't know what the deal was, but it bent on him, and he ate absolute crap. And that's the only time I've ever seen anyone actually fall out of a hammock. It was pretty funny.
Well, it has to hurt.
Oh, I felt bad for him.
Yeah, after you stopped laughing.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't. I made sure he's all right before I laughed.
Yeah.
I laugh about it now. He laughs about it now. It could have been worse, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't like to much tent camp anymore anyway. The beauty, I guess, of hammock camping would be also, like you said, you don't have to worry about how hard the ground is.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, I just don't see how I could ever to lay on your side or a stomach sleeper. Just might as well give it up because there's no way, that your back would even just a little bit go the other way and be comfortable.
People have. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, I'm just saying I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, people have different opinions. I'm usually like at home when I sleep in the bed. I'm usually a stomach sleeper. I usually lay on my stomach, but in a hammock, it don't really bother me all that much. I don't know. I can roll over.
It will now. It will now.
I've thought about it a lot. But I can roll over on my side in there, and I'm usually pretty contented with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well,
but I don't see anybody in the comments that says that they're willing to buy a hammock and go out and camp.
Well,
I haven't seen much.
Look, all I can do is I can preach the gospel, but you can't cast pearls before swine. If they don't want to believe it, then that's all right.
Yeah. Well, maybe they don't camp at all. Jen says she just stays in her house, and Joe goes out in his camper. Yeah. I'm kind of leaning more towards the Joe style.
You're being with Joe, huh?
Yeah, not with him, but we'll be parking side by side.
Would you be willing to? Would you be willing to do a challenge, Mylo? Would you stay the night or attempt to stay the night in the hammock?
No.
Why not, man?
Because I'm old.
You're gonna get on here and you're gonna argue.
I'm gonna convert you into a tent camping. You're gonna take that hammock and just like, why would I even roll up like a burrito in this thing and not be able to sleep on my stomach no more, and have to put up with the fact that I can't take my boots off inside, or I can't change my socks. You can't change your socks in a hammock.
Oh yeah.
What happens? You get up and goes like, man, my socks are all stanky, and you throw them outside, and then you was like the next morning it's like, where's my stuff? Where do you put your stuff? Do you put it like under the hammock? Because there's no room inside.
Usually I put it under the underhang, so it's also got a pocket on it, and you can stuff your essentials. Your knife, your phone, the stuff you're going to be needing, flashlight through the night. Stuff all that down in the pocket. On the ridge line, you can hang. You were talking about clothes, so a lot of times you can hang like an old shirt or your socks that's wet that you want to dry. You can hang those up along the ridge line above you. And then also on the ropes that's holding your hammock, usually I'll hook my pack on my carabiner so it's up off the ground, and that everything's right there with me. And I don't even have to get out of the hammock, man. I just reach back there in my pack and dig something out. I've done figured it out, Mylo. I'm content.
Well, I'm sure this isn't anybody. Ryan says that hammocks are more comfortable than beds. and a zillion
I
million
agree.
times more comfortable than an
Well,
air mattress. But so I go back to the bears. So the bear doesn't. He knows where you're at in a hammock. Plus, he knows you're not toting any kind of unchewables. You're all soft and squishy because
you know what I
all
do?
your pocket knives are hanging here, and all your shoes are hanging over there. He just knows right in the middle's all that fresh meat. See,
Well,
with the tent, he's got to guess. He's got to guess. Well, where is the chewy stuff and where's the non-chewy stuff?
one night, and I can't lie about this. That is something that I do think about a lot. Pretty much every time that I'm in my hammock, the thought crosses my mind. It's just like if something comes up on me, I'm pretty much defenseless. But I think it's more of a mental thing than anything because when you're in a tent, I mean, it ain't like you have any more material around you. If a bear or a cougar or whatever wants to get in that hammock, I mean, you're not gonna you may have 3 seconds before he shreds that thing, and it ain't really any different than him coming under my rainfly. I think it's more just the mental thing because on the tent you have that door you can zip up. That's really
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Well, it's like they don't know if you're in there. Now, if you snore or you're laughing or giggling or whatever might be going on, and they could hear you in there, then yeah, they know you're in there. But if they come across a tent and you're quiet and it's 2 a.m. and you're sleeping, they don't know what's in there. So they don't know if you're in there. I guess anybody can tell. Well, they can smell you. Well, that's probably true.
Yeah.
But you know, I just
What I
can't help
usually
but
do is
think
I
with the
just
hammock.
uh-huh.
He's like, yeah, that dude's in there. I can see him. Look at that. Right there he is.
The trick is you just build up a really big fire before you go to bed, and you keep a pistol in that pocket I was talking about, where you can just grab it at any time, and then that's pretty much it. I sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess a tent gives you a certain amount of, you know,
Mental security.
yeah, mental
Yeah.
security. You got a little breathing room there.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you hear some rustling around in the middle of the night, you can kind of look around and is that a skunk or is that a raccoon?
Mm-hmm.
But if you hear some rustling around and you're in a hammock, it's like, dude, is that an alien? He's just getting ready to snatch up each end of that thing and take me off into the sky.
Man, one night I went camping with some buddies up on Camp Tom Howard, and we were in a hammock, and I don't know, to this day, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a bear or a person or what it was, but it started at about 2 in the morning, and something woke me up, and I didn't have a pistol with me at the time. This is actually probably the story that made me start carrying one.
Yeah.
But this thing, man, whatever it was, it circled our camp all night long. It would stay, probably, well, just going off sound, it sounded like it was probably about 30 or 40 yards outside of our camp, and it just made big circles all night long. And they were slow circles. It would take it probably 45 minutes to make a full revolution around our camp, but all night long from like 2 to, probably almost to sunrise, it just made these big circles around our camp. And I'm laying there, and all I had was just like a Winchester belt knife, and I'm, cradling my knife, and I'm just, waiting for disaster to strike. Luckily, nothing did, but yeah, that was pretty sketchy, but it still didn't deter me from getting back in my hammock.
I bet it was an armadillo.
It probably was. That's where it all
They
started.
just walk kind of slow.
Either that or a turtle.
Yeah. Could have been a herd of turtles.
It could have been a herd of turtles, yeah. Well, they're lucky.
A whole herd of turtles.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to, and I saw you showed me, I don't have TikTok, but you showed me that video you'd made. So you're going to have to get something together so that me and all my thousands of viewers
You and all your rowdy
can
friends.
see, yeah, me and all my rowdy friends
Yeah.
can see your layout when you go
Okay.
Hammock camping. Of course,
Well-
now it's getting kind of cool. How cold? Let's say you look at the weather and it's going to be X degrees at night or the low.
Mm-hmm.
When's your cutoff? When you say, nah, man, I'm not getting out there and freezing my buns off.
I don't have, honestly, a cutoff that is stupid of an answer as that is. I probably should have. But it really just kind of depends on how bad I want to go camping, to tell you the truth. I have camped in like December before. It was late December, almost January, and that was cold. But we did it anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, layer up, bring you plenty of blankets, and just hope for the best. That's kind of just my philosophy on it.
Well, you're going to have to take some pictures, videos, or something.
Yeah.
Go out and...
Well,
what was the one that you did in TikTok? What was it?
So that actually is I think I'd mentioned to y'all at work that I had built a cabin in the woods.
Right.
Yeah. Well, started building 2 cabins. They tore my first one down. So that video, what I was doing that day is I found a new place that I like better, that I'm starting another cabin. Now, when that's finished, I don't know, but I've just been going out pedaling on it whenever I get a chance.
Secret locations.
It is secret locations.
So nobody will come along and tromp
only
on it,
only
down.
hammock campers are allowed in the spot, so you'll never know about it.
Well, that's true. I don't think I'd ever go hammock camping. And I'm just afraid my back would probably be so messed up by the next day from sleeping in even just a little bit of a dip, you know?
Well, see, that's why I was saying you pull it tight.
But there ain't nothing ever going to be that tight.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. If you pull it tight enough, it don't sloop. It just contours to your body. And that's what makes it comfortable. I mean, I don't know. I'm not here to tell you that your back wouldn't hurt you, because everybody's different. But I'm just saying, here's a picture. I don't know how well you can see it, but for reference, you can't really. My hammock's just kind of in the background, but I don't know if that's showing up at all.
Yeah.
But that's about how high I hang up, and I keep it pulled really tight. And when I get in that thing, it's pretty much just the contour of my body is all that it gives, And I mean, it droops some, but it's pretty much tight. That's why I like hanging it high and tight. So I don't know. Maybe you just hadn't experimented around with hanging it, different ways. There's more than one ways to skin a cat, Mylo.
I don't own one, so I'm not gonna take my come along and stretch somebody else's hammock out so far that just to see if I could sleep on it, and be comfortable. But like I said, when I sit in my girls' or my kids' hammocks, it was kind of cool because, I mean, it was comfy, and I know you could set your head and your, feet ratio a little higher, your head a little higher, so that you don't, that's one thing that I always have is my head lower than my feet? That really bothers me. If I feel like I'm sleeping on my head at all, this is like, man, I gotta flip ends or something. I can't take it. But,
I understand that.
It was nice to sit there and I was reading a book, but it just seemed like the hammock was coming up around me, and which is cozy, but you're trying to read and it's kind of coming up around you, and it's like, well, this would probably be better for sleeping than it would be. Maybe I was doing it all wrong, but I don't know.
So there's these things, when you were talking about it, it made me think about this. There's these things, I think they call them sky tents, maybe, or I don't know exactly. You can look them up. I'm sure that you can find them pretty quick. But so what it is it's basically like a hybrid between a tent and a hammock. Have you ever seen this? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I've seen the ones where if I were a climber and I was on the side of a cliff, you anchor these things in, and it's almost like a rectangle structure that has a base, but it's nylon material everywhere else, and it kind of hangs, and it's almost like a floor, and it's a small tent with a self-containing floor because it holds a shape.
So I don't think that's the same thing what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
The one that I'm talking about, it's like a triangle, and you have 3 points of contact with it, but you hang it in a tree just like you would a hammock, only you have 3 points of contact.
It's a trampoline.
Literally, pretty much, yeah. And so it has like built-on ratchets on it, and the goal is you pull that thing absolutely as tight as it'll go,
Right.
and it's a hammock or a tent. I mean, like it actually
Right.
has like little tent poles that you put up, and you can unzip it and crawl in there. And I saw a video on YouTube somewhere where people had made like a city of them. They had like 30 of these things hanging up the top of trees. It looked like something from Star Wars. What's it? The Walks or
Yeah,
whatever. they are.
Ewok.
Yeah, Ewoks. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those dudes. That's what it looked like, and it
Yeah.
was pretty cool. I've never had a chance to lay in one because they're extremely expensive, but I'd like to have one.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I always thought it'd be cool to have a hammock that was, or something like that, treehouse hammock, something that was like way up in a tree, like 30 feet up. I think that would be cool. I mean, I don't know how you'd ever get there, but I think that would be nice. But see, you get up. Let's just say you tried something like that. Then you pick up trees that are, 30 feet high. What happens is they sway different times. They sway at different rates. Because, I mean, you get into a wind, they could just pop your, hammock in half and there you'd be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. But
I
you're going to
used
take
to-
pictures and then
I
show us
definitely
to
will.
them.
Definitely will.
No, you won't. When you
I'm
going to go
gonna-
camping?
I'm going to set up a seminar on how to properly hang a hammock, and I'm going to invite you. I'll hand out pamphlets.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, you need to holler at Ryan because he wants to set up a hammock on the goalposts that are now in the river.
I'd love that. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Like,
underwater
let's
hammock
look in,
camping.
Ryan.
Can
what
you
now?
do underwater hammock camping?
I've hung over a creek before, not underwater, but I've like hung my hammock over a creek, sat there, put my feet down the creek, and had a good old time.
Yeah. Did you turn upside down and go commando in the creek, did you?
I did. That ain't
Yeah.
that ain't a lie. I did.
Yeah. It's gone away. It's like nature's flushing.
They carried it off to the sea somewhere, Mylo.
Let's see if there's any questions that anybody put out there. Joe says he just takes his camper, and Jen's just going to stay at her house. Robert's a hee, whatever that means.
Something about Frankenbeans. I don't know what's going on over here.
There's Ryan hanging on the goalpost that got thrown in the river.
Ryan's making fun of me because I called the Ewoks walks.
No, Ryan, I didn't get a new camera. I just don't have the room lights on. I kind of played down lighting this time. Let's see. Zippers keep all creatures out. I said, somebody said something about you don't have to worry about copperheads in a hammock.
It's true.
Yeah, but I said, zippers keep out the snakes. Zippers keep out all creatures, Robert thinks, even bears. You go, Robert.
Nah.
But Ryan thinks zippers are arguably the most dangerous part of your pants. I don't know why.
Well, if you think about it for a few minutes, you probably figure it out.
Does it have anything to do with copperheads?
It might. I don't know.
What? Too much information, Robert. Everybody's going TMI.
Everybody is?
Walks.
What did we say?
Not everybody, Robert.
Oh.
He's somebody.
No.
Frank and Beans. He's the one that said Frank and Beans.
Mm-hmm.
Robert says it's a movie. Something about Mary.
Yeah, that's the
Huh.
movie. That's the one I was thinking about. Or the zipper. Yeah, you watch that. You figure out
What?
the zipper's
Something about Mary?
Yes, I think
Oh.
Ben Stiller's in it. Yeah.
Oh, Robert, when you do something like that, you got to put some quotes around the title. There, quotes around the title, so I'll know that that's something. Something about Mary is like the title of something.
Yeah, boy, you get got.
Do you get got?
Yeah, I mean, the.
Well, who wants to get got? I don't want to
the
get
YouTube
got.
police might come get you. Copyright. It's dangerous stuff.
Oh, well, I'm not going to watch it on YouTube. All right, so we got 44 minutes. Anything else you want to tell everybody about hammock camping? Do's and
Hammocks
don'ts?
are the best. Tents are for losers. Go get you a hammock.
Or
Get
just
with the- get
just
with the
take
in
and
crowd.
put ropes on the inside of your tent and throw away the poles. and then just stretch your tent between
better.
two trees, and just you got a hammock with zippers, and
That'd be better, man.
you're safe from snakes and bears
That's right.
already.
That's right. Or be like the old fogies and go buy you a camper.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
I recommend getting you a hammock.
Mm-mm.
Put lag bolts in your camper and sleep in a hammock inside your camper.
You could.
You could.
Yeah, and I've threatened to put a hammock in my van.
There you go.
See, you could do that.
Yeah.
You could stretch a hammock in a work van in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on and discussing your hammock camping.
Yes,
I hope
sir.
everybody's learned something or thought about it. So maybe we can come up with another topic. Somebody else will come on and talk about sleeping in, I don't know, a haystack or something.
Yeah.
Good show, buds.
Who
Good
said
buds
that?
show.
That was Ryan.
Ryan said good
I know
buds
I
show.
know it was Ryan.
All right. Well, until next time. And if you happen to watch this and later, not awful, when it's live and you've made it this far, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just skip to the end. It's like a good book. You just, you're so interested in what happens at the end, you just skip right to the end. Well, this is the end.
You know where books are the best at? In hammocks.
Are they?
They are.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to
Also,
eat one. What?
Minutes with Mylo probably would be viewed the best out of a hammock.
It would be.
I bet you it
You
would.
just string a hammock up in your backyard. It does take up a lot less space
It does.
than a camper. So
And
you
a
can
tent.
string up, and a tent, and you can stack them. So, don't put the
family can
kids
watch
that
it.
wet the bed on top, though.
That's right. Keep them to the bottom.
Keep the kids that wet the bed to the bottom.
And
Everybody dance your phalanges.
the whole family.
Yep.
The whole family can watch Minutes with Mylo.
Yep.
Yep.
See y'all. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mylo.
Bye-bye.